It's Mary. It's December 11th, 2018. Talk to me Tuesday. I didn't make a video last week, so I've got very little to show for you for 2 weeks' work. 2 blocks, 2 weeks, right? Okay, here's what happened. I've been working hard, but this medallion mystery quilt here through the National Quilting Circle is a challenge. It's an 8-week challenge, so we're making this whole quilt in 8 weeks. Yeah, sure we are. I was pretty well on track until week 5, and here's what happened. Week 5 is a simple little block. It's a 6-inch block, no problem. I chose to paper piece it. Again, no problem. Didn't need a piece for this even. I just left that right off and did it, and they're easy to make. They're easy to square up. Time consuming. 40 of them. So I think last time we talked 2 weeks ago, I had finished one and I was starting the other 39. Well, I knew I needed to do an assembly line or I would go crazy, and I knew if I did an assembly line, I wouldn't make any mistakes. So I sewed 39 of these to this, and then 39 of those to this, and then 39 of those to this, etc. And it went fairly quickly, but there are tons of them. So let's cross over into the other challenge, or quilt along, which is Hocus Pocus. I had finished just before the Come Fly With Me block, which is 4 blocks square compared to the others, and I'm doing 6-inch blocks, so that's a 12-inch square block. Now, 12-inch square, cute as can be, great pattern, but a million little pieces. So here was my plan. I was going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I wasn't even going to pick out any fabrics because on the Come Fly With Me, I liked the colors in my LSU Tigers quilt, which, by the way, I have not started. I have designed and quilted the 1 block. I'm very proud of myself for not starting, and this is a 10-inch block. So I had picked out these colors. I like these colors together because in LSU you get used to gold and purple just being the colors, so like you do in any town. So I thought, okay, I have these sitting out ready to start this when I finish this one, so I will just use those. I need a moon. This is a great moon color. I need a purple dress. Here we go. So how hard could this be? So here we went. Here was the plan. I like to string piece my paper piecing. So I often have an in-between or filler project that is routine, like putting blocks together like this, and I run those between. So I'm using less thread. I'm getting the boring stuff done while I can think about one and just do the other one routinely. So I have this in stacks, flying through the machine, can't make a mistake, got a system down, but bored to tears. And in between, I've got my thinking project, which is my Come Fly With Me. So I am doing one piece of the Come Fly With Me, one of this, and thinking, I got a couple hours. Well, I have to tell you, several days later, I have 1 block for Hocus Pocus and 20, actually not 20 of these, I have 39 of these half finished. Could not believe how many seams there were on this, and could not believe how many seams there were on Come Fly With Me. But it turned out very nicely. I don't know what dropped. Don't worry about it. Isn't this nice? It is the moon. It's kind of backlit, which is really cool because you get to see all my seams, including the 2 seams I added here because I enlarged the entire thing from 10 inches to 12 except this top piece, and then wondered why it didn't fit together, so I had to add an inch in the middle, and I was fine with that because when it's not against the light, it's okay. Anyway, you can see we have the purple dress and the moon from the LSU fabric I already had, so that worked out. And then also on my table, because I had just cut out all these little pieces, I had a very nice red with a moose on it and a bear, and a very nice green with some very nice woodsy language on it, very clean language, outdoorsy, fresh air clean. And so I have this dress, which has got a wolf and a bear on it. I've got this dress with some woodsy language on it, on her cute little tushy, and the rest of this fabric I already had from the quilt. I mean, we have, oh, and this black is from, this is the black that's in my New Orleans Saints quilt, so it was sitting there, and this was, the rest of these fabrics had already been used in the, Hocus Pocus quilt, so nothing could be easier. And it took me 2 days to get one block done and half of 39 of these done. Couldn't believe it. So, got it done. Pretty happy with myself. Block looks good. I'm happy with that. And this broom is from, I've used that wood. We used the wood in the first week of this quilt along, and I've used it so much since. Every time I turn around, I'm using more wood. So now I had the same problem I did 2 days earlier. I had 39 of these to do the other half of, and so I skipped the Ralph block, which is going to come next, and went straight to the Binks block, which is again 12 by 12, 4 blocks big. And again, didn't have to pull out a piece of fabric because, how cute is that? He's my favorite. Look at those eyes. And don't you just want to hug him? So, this is this gold and this black and this green with my Hocus Pocus background, which is always out while you're doing it quilt along. So, this, I thought, how much easier can you be? And I love this color for the moon because it's like a harvest moon. It makes him all spooky, and it's not the same as the other moon. And so I'm cruising along thinking this is going to be so easy. Well, I have finished this. Took me a couple days, but worth it. And I, in between every single section, did a seam on this. I now have 39 of these. I have about 30 of them completely finished, and the other ones I will do when I do Ralph, who's next. So, making progress. This is, they have now finished this quilt without me, which it happens a lot if you're me. It's an 8-week challenge, and this is week 5. That's what got me hung up, week 5. But, of course, I got the patterns for 6, 7, and 8. And in 8, we find out what we're doing with these 40 blocks and why we need 40 of these. And they're a border. Isn't that going to be adorable? So, you make 4 borders. You sew 10 of these together and then put a solid red square on each end. So, if I move my little head, you can see here are 20 that I finished and sewed together for 10 each for 2 borders, and then on the top and bottom of each one will just be a red square. So I have 2 of my border pieces finished. I'm working on the 3rd one that are going to go in between the Ralph pieces, and then hopefully by the time I finish Ralph, I'll have all 4 of those borders finished. So I'll not only have finished week 4, but I will have finished a big step of week 8 because I'll have a border done. So there are only 2 more blocks because week 6 has a block, which is a big block. I want to say these are 10 inches. I want to say these are 6. These are 9 inches. I want to say block week 6 is a 9-inch block. It's easy. it's very similar to these. This one and this one, it's got a little bit different center, but I think there are 8 9-inch blocks, and I'll be finished with week 6. So you'll definitely see those next week. And then week 7 is another 9-inch block, very similar, and only 8 of them. And then we're going to take those 16 blocks, these borders that I just finished go around all 4 sides, and the quilt will still be square. This is it's a bed quilt, so it can't be square. But what we're going to do with these 16 blocks is alternate them and make another border on the top and the bottom, and then I'm on to week 8, which is just assembly and borders. And so I think this is going to move pretty quickly, but I thought that 2 weeks ago. We'll see. So part of the assembly, so I've got basically 16 more 9-inch blocks, which easy peasy, I hope. And then the borders. We've got the 2 borders I talked about, made from the 16 blocks and made from these 40 blocks, and then 2 more borders. And this is my fabric. This is one of the borders, and the instructions are to cut it length of fabric because they envisioned a wider stripe, mitered corners that match up and look very pretty. I'm thinking about that. This would make a pretty interesting mitered corner. I would have to, let me see if I can get this to where it's sort of matched. I would have to match it, which would of course be the hard part. But it would. I think I would like this in a lengthwise, but it's a question of whether I'm up to. Why not? Can't be that hard, right? So I'm going to. That's going to be an inner border, and I'm thinking it's like it probably looks 4 or 5 inches wide, so that'll be kind of cute. And then the second border is wider, and I actually got this for that. And I have more of the fabrics that match this, and I have this fabric, and I really didn't get the leaf fabrics, but I did get this stripe. So I'm going to have to think about that. That's going to be an outer border, and I need to think about what I'm going to do with that, but it's pretty exciting. And I think I might have something leafy for the background that matches. Anyway, that's coming together, and I am very happy with how it's turning out. And now that I've almost got this Deadly Week 5 finished, I think it's going to move along pretty quickly. Didn't touch the New Orleans Saints quilt this week, but that's okay because I'm making this, as I told you, for a girl who's doing a favor for me, and she's dragging her feet on the favor, so I've got some more time on this. Then the Hocus Pocus I'm making progress on, and then, you know, I'm such a sucker for these emails I get. And now, because I'm doing this challenge, mystery challenge, I'm on the email list for the National Quilting Circle, and they're actually starting a new challenge in mid-January. That's going to be their first paper-pieced one. So, and it's not a mystery, so I'll see what I think of that and see if I need to join in that. And I'm also just kind of sight unseen thinking of doing solids. I love solids. The LSU and the Saints quilts have made me remember how much I like solids, and even some of this I call solids, even though they're not. So got some thoughts on that, but it certainly depends on the pattern. But anyway, one of the emails, I shouldn't read their emails. I just shouldn't read them. They sent an email saying they were having a sale on a course. and you download it. They send you the disc, and you get a free add a quarter ruler. Well, I think I'm the last person on the planet who doesn't have an add a quarter ruler. I've never used one. It came in the mail today, and I'm pretty excited about it. And it's used for templates, to add a quarter to a template, and they've got a little picture of how you do that, but also for paper piecing. And I think I'll use this, and probably a lot, because let me show you why. This is the trouble I get into. A perfect example is Sphinx. I have no problem with the sections and the pieces in it and all that. I add a quarter. I don't use seam allowance, mostly because I enlarge the patterns and because I'm enlarging them not on design software but in Photoshop, typically, sometimes some other things. When you make a 5-inch block into a 6-inch, you get more than a quarter seam allowance because you're enlarging it 120%. So, and I'm never really worried about seam allowance because I just cut them. So you just put your regular square ruler on the edge and you just put it a quarter of an inch over. You run your line, and that's not a problem. And I've really never had a problem within a section that happening, but where I get into problems is between the sections. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if there's just more thought involved or if it's age or bad brain. I don't know. But here's where I get into trouble, and it's usually on a complicated piece that I just don't want to start over. Like I showed you on my Come Fly With Me. I just added an inch. I fixed that problem. It's paper pieced anyway. Nobody's going to say, hey, you didn't need to do these extra 2 seams in here because it's all going to be quilted in on the wall and it's all going to be okay. But when I go to put sections together is when I have the problem. And so that happened right here, because what will happen is I take this piece and I'm sewing it to this piece. And so I just have a bad habit of when I run my ruler across here, I'm putting it on the wrong line. And instead of cutting with my 1/4 inch line on the seam line so that I'm cutting a quarter higher, I end up cutting on the seam line, and then I run into problems. Well, if this one has to match this one identically, meaning like here, these lines have to touch, which they do. In other words, when you're sewing this piece on, the contact point you care about is this, and I hit it, so that's okay. But this piece, if I were sewing this to this and I had cut off a 1/4 inch of one of these, particularly if I cut off this guy's ears, then you can't just add a 1/2 inch to the other side and call it a day. But on this one, I didn't have to remake these 2 pieces because this isn't, as long as I'm adding a 1/2 inch to this, I can take off a 1/4 inch of this if the front is cooperating. And so what you'll notice is this was designed for this piece to be a 1/4 inch smaller, this piece to be a 1/4 inch bigger, and it was forgiving enough so that Binks's problem is he's a little bit thin here. So instead of coming out another 1/4 inch and going down, he just gets cut off there. I decided I could live with that. No offense to the designer who designed it a little more curvy than that. And so it worked. But if I had my add a quarter ruler, which I'm going to pick up off my foot, that shouldn't be a problem anymore, because when you get to the edge of your pattern, this would be the fabric of this would be your pattern, or typically you'd have your paper on one side and your uncut fabric on the other side, of course. And then you would put this ruler here. There's a little lip there. You guys all know this because y'all have them and have been doing this all this time while I've been doing it the hard way. You put that there, and then you cut along this, and it adds a quarter on there. So I think this is going to save me some mistakes as I get older, hopefully. And it also says on templates that by doing this and putting this against the edge of your template, you're preventing, oh, they had a really good word with it, preventing, prevent template shaving. I don't use templates, so I don't shave them, but I seriously shaved my big ruler last month. And not only did I, and you know, I dealt with it with tape, but sometimes not only did I have to buy a new ruler, but it ruined my blade. So I am optimistic that I'm going to use that and be happy with it. So the only other thing I did was in the Hocus Pocus quilt, although I am only 44% finished with this quilt, and again, no math involved, there are 100, the equivalent of 100 blocks, and I have the equivalent of 44 of them. The rest of the group is ahead of me. See? Happens to me. I'm okay with it. They're getting toward the end where they take the design submissions, and I did design, test, and submit one this week, which I can't show you because they're going to be released, I don't know when, but there's a plan that I'm not involved in, and so I can't show you that one. And then a second one I have designed and printed out, and I just need to test it, which I will do when I finish Ralph on the rest of my 1,000 of these blocks that I have to finish, or in between banks if I finish the other one first we get to. No, that's not a problem. That's just a lining up on the sewing machine and getting them in the right order assembly. But anyway, that was kind of fun to design blocks that I could put into my Hocus Pocus quilt should I decide to. So that's what I've been up to. I did cut my hair, and it's in that ugly I can't wash it until tomorrow phase, so that's that. So I have a friend who's dying right now. I've been trying to spend some time with her, and so I've not had the quilting time that I would like, but it happens. Fortunately, Christmas isn't getting in my way this year, so I was hoping to finish the 3 quilts I'm working on by the end of the year. I don't know if that's possible, but we'll see. They would be, since I just got back into quilting a few months ago, they would be the only 3 quilts that I finished in I'm sorry, I did finish the one, the baby quilt. So that would give, if I did get all of these finished by the end of the year, that would give me 4 in 2018, which is really nothing to sneeze at, but they would also give me a big jump on 2019 if I could get 3 of them finished early before the end of January. So it really doesn't matter to me. Just kind of a goal I had, and finishing one quilt and being this far along on 3 others, with another one on the way, and then so excited about the jelly roll one I'll be doing in the spring with you guys. So it's a lot of progress. I'm happy with it. I don't have any regrets, of course, but I don't know why I was thinking that it mattered if they got finished in this calendar year or that calendar year when we're in the middle of December, but because we don't. So anyway, I hope you have a fabulous week. I hope you stay warm, because some places, including way down here in the south, are getting cold this week. So see you next week. Bye.